One minute, sir. All of you, please switch off mic. Some disturbance is coming. All of you, please switch off mic.
So, welcome back. So, but day by day, the attraction towards smart grid increases. It is not actually in the other way. I can see lot of changes in the smart grid scenario in the past 5 years. That too after the development of IoT, Internet of Things. So rather than concentrating completion of slides, I think I would like to make it as an interactive session. I am very happy that there are 85 participants are online now, including myself. I have seen the list of participants. Most of the participants are belonging to student category. I think maybe BTech final year or maybe MTech first year or second year. I think maybe first MTech second year, I think. So given time is 1 hour, I will try my level best. So when you talk about the development in smart grid, I have planned in fact my slides like this. But you don't worry about this slide. But presently we have some problem. Maybe 10 years back or 20 years back, we never see PPT, especially to deliver a lecture. Unless otherwise, if there is a symposium or seminar, we never go for PPT based teaching. But at present, we are in the position, or maybe we have trained to see everything in PPT. I think a few months back, I was delivering an online lecture. The participant was asking me, sir, I am not seeing your PPT. I said that, sir, I am not showing any PPT. Because seminar means first thing what they are coming to your mind, PPT. So now some kind of culture has been developed among teaching community that PPT should be there. See, few years back, no PPT, no such facilities. And I think that was sometime maybe more effective rather than showing PPT. So don't worry about my PPT. So though the title is on challenges of smart grid, all of you may be understanding how the evolution of grid happened. Just for 5 to 10 minutes, I would like to share because most of them are students. So the every maybe culture has its own technology. For example, if you see a remote place in a typical remote place in Kerala and they locate a house and they go inside the house, you can see the construction of the way of construction of house, a kitchen, and you can see the terrace. Everybody, they have their own technology. I am telling that house is a reflection of technology what people given for the past more than several centuries. What we see today is not constructed today. It is a reflection of our ancestors. I am telling you that the nature of technology may vary from country to country or maybe place to place. If you go to Europe, if you see their house construction, material used, maybe it depends upon their lifestyle. But for the past 200 years, more or less, everybody in the world is living in a kind of similar society. It doesn't matter whether we are living in Calicut or maybe in Chennai or it may be in New York or it may be Sydney, anywhere. So the technology, whatever is available here, it is there everywhere in the world. That is called a globalization. That is one type of one benefit what we get out of globalization. So electricity is a similar commodity. Please, I think I may be right to use the sentence commodity because electricity is also a product. It may vary from place to place according to the quality, right? The way of the quality electricity what we get here in our country may not be equal in Singapore, may not be equal to maybe some other country. So I am treating electricity as a commodity. They are making product, selling to the consumer. Sometime maybe a consumer, sometime maybe a customer. You may ask, what is a consumer and a customer? So when you talk about a consumer have only one provider. Consumer have only one provider. For example, our electricity board, Kerala State Electricity Board. Only one energy provider where we are consumer. But whereas in mobile phone, we are not consumer, we are customer. Why we are customer? Because there are more than one providers like BSNL, maybe Airtel, Aircel, maybe different mobile phone companies are there where we are customer. So like that, the technology has been grown up very fast in the past 200 years. If there is a technology invented, that technology will serve the community for several years, sometime maybe 100 years. But now, if there is a technology, the alternate technology comes in a short span of time. For example, I am telling you Bluetooth. So Bluetooth is a very good technology we use in mobile phone to transfer data from one mobile to other mobile without wireless transfer. But tell me, all of you have a mobile phone. How many of you currently use Bluetooth to transfer the data? I think no one. Why? Because there is an alternate technology. What is alternate technology? Share it. So now you may understand what is a technology breakthrough. So rather than transferring data through Bluetooth, which is slow in nature, the alternate technology very fastly developed, which is Wi-Fi based or maybe some kind of technology which can perform better than the previous technology. So what I am registering here, if there is a technology, the alternate technology which is very best than the previous technology comes out to the people or maybe the end user very fast. So that's the way how the technology is moving up. But if you see how many of them are dealing the technology, it's very rare. Especially I always think about our syllabus and curriculum. When you see our syllabus, those syllabus framed quite long back, maybe 50 years before. But even today, we are using same curriculum and syllabus to teach our BTech students. Sometimes I feel that non-conventional sources, I think non-conventional energy sources, that's a very good BTech level course. Still we offer that course as an elective course to the students. Maybe 30 years before it was an elective course, today also it is an elective course. Now you may think where our syllabus is lagging, right? So now even sometime, since it is an elective course, there are some colleges, they never offer that course because the corresponding course faculty may be leave or maybe he may not be available. I'm telling you, electrical engineer is getting a degree in electrical engineering without studying non-conventional energy source. There are some situations. So this is the gap you have to understand. There is a wide gap exists between the reality of smart grid and curriculum. So these type of gaps can be fulfilled through some kind of online lectures or maybe other resources like learning from journals or maybe some other resources. Now technology is on your doorstep. Previously, if you want to refer something, we go to a library and we have to spend a lot of time and we have to get the idea. But now you have your computer or laptop, whatever it is, just you type, you get a lot of material, you can learn very easily. But I am telling you, please be careful when you download or when you read something from internet. One guy would like to learn what is called cloud computing. This guy typed something in computer, so he got a lot of material, and first he gone through one by one. So he was seeing article written by one technical expert that cloud computing is nothing but data are in cloud doing some computation. That's the way how people are writing. This guy suddenly was cracking something. If data are in cloud, somebody wrote a query that if there is a rain, what happened to data? Somebody wrote as a blog, if there is a rain, don't worry, we will provide umbrella, right? This is for fun, I'm telling. Why I'm telling you? If you learn something from textbook, maybe you can talk about genuinity of the technical content. Maybe more or less, or 99% it will be accurate. But internet-based learning is very harmful. You can't guarantee who is writing, what is writing. You can't guarantee anything. So what I am telling you to the students community, please be careful when you read something from internet as such. So you should be very careful. So let us go back to our smart grid. As I mentioned before, technology has been grown up very fast in smart grid. So may I ask you, what do you think about a smart grid? Can you interact with me? What is your idea? What is a smart grid? Someone please turn on your mic and you can interact with me. What do you think about a smart grid? I don't know. There are 87 participants, including me. 86 participants are there, but nobody is responding. Are they?
It is an electrical network that is used to supply electricity to the consumers through digital technology.
Okay. It is there already, right? Consumer will be receiving electricity to the electrical network. That is there already. What is smart grid then?
There are smart meters and we are using digital technology.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
So when there is communication.
Yeah, that is more or less closer to the answer. Thank you. So when you talk about conventional grid, you all know about the grid. What is a grid? There are sources like Kayangulam, Kozhikode diesel power plant, Nellimattam hydro power plant, and there are different power plants located according to the availability of resources. You all know that. So naturally, these generating station generates electricity in terms of bulking power, maybe 100 megawatt, 200 megawatt. The level of voltage also varies. So maybe 6.5 volt or 6.5 kilovolt or maybe 11 kilovolt. It depends upon the generator capacity. So after generating electricity, they are using a step-up transformer to reduce the transmission losses. So in India, different level of transmission voltage we follow, right from 110 kV, 220 kV, like that. Even people are going more than 1000 kilovolt today. That is called the extra large high voltage. So what I am telling you, after transmission, we are receiving to the substation, and they are going for a primary distribution, maybe 33 kilovolt or maybe 11 kilovolt. After reaching nearby load center, we are distributing through that poles, and then we are receiving electricity in terms of 3-phase or maybe single phase. So now I'm telling you, suppose there are some guests coming to your home. So you have to turn on more AC and more fans. Assume that before arrival of the guest, you all are using some 1 kilowatt power. So suddenly, when all the guests are coming, you are going to use 2 kilowatt power. What you are going to do? You are going to call Nellimattam hydro power plant. Hello, sir. Some guests are coming to my home. So I am currently having only 1 kilowatt. I need another 1 kilowatt. Could you please generate 1 more kilowatt for me? Whether you speak like that? Never, right? That is called load following generation. So what currently we follow is load following generation. Load is there. Load goes in its own way. So we have real power demand, reactive power demand. That is with the consumer. If you want to turn on fan, turn on. If you want to turn on heater, turn on. So real power, reactive power, both of them are varying according to the needs of the customer or consumer, right? So when real power and reactive power varies, the corresponding parameters like voltage and frequency varies throughout the power system. Reactive power affects voltage, real power affects frequency. So what they are doing in generating station, they are monitoring these two. What is the level of voltage? What is the level of frequency? There they have two control. One is called AGC, automatic generation control. Another one is called AVR, automatic voltage restorer. So consumer goes in their own way and all the generators are synchronized to one to other and they are following customer, right? That is a present situation. But I am telling you, you are going to bring renewable energy sources, right? So for example, you are going to use solar photovoltaic of 5 kilowatt exclusively for your home. Assume that all consumers or most of the consumers started using solar photovoltaic. Now that is the situation. No? Almost every home they have UPS. Like that, in future, assume that everybody they have their own photovoltaics. What is the capacity of solar photovoltaic? 5 kilowatt. What is a guarantee that this 5 kilowatt photovoltaic generates always 5 kilowatt? No condition, right? I think today if you see weather in Calicut, it is cloudy. If you have 5 kilowatt generator, hardly it can produce 1 kilowatt. Sometimes if you have more radiation, 5 kilowatt generator can produce 7 kilowatt output. Don't ask me, sir, how it generates. That is the nature of output. Because output power is directly proportional to solar radiation and the temperature. So what we say 5 kilowatt is the output power of the solar panel at STC. STC means standard test condition. But solar photovoltaic cell can receive solar radiation more than 1000 watt per meter square. 1200. Even if you go to Rajasthan, there the solar radiation and all more. So according to the condition of according to the location, solar photovoltaic output will vary. And moreover, if you see solar photovoltaic, it is highly non-linear and intermittent, fluctuating in nature. Now you take 5 kilowatt diesel generator, 5 kilowatt wind generator or solar PV generator. If you have 5 kilowatt diesel generator, constantly it consumes diesel and produces 5 kilowatt output power. But what is a guarantee that your renewable energy sources like photovoltaic or wind provide electricity with the same characteristics of diesel generator? It can't provide, because input received by solar photovoltaic or wind depends upon environmental condition where it is highly varying in nature. If you measure solar radiation at 12 o'clock, it will never be equal at 12:05 or maybe 1 o'clock. So what I am interpreting here, load goes in its own direction. Previously, all the sources follows the load. But now situation is changing. When you bring solar photovoltaic, wind, all sort of renewable energy sources into your home, what happened? Situation we are reversing. Whenever you have output from solar photovoltaic, utilize it. Whenever you don't have, minimize the load. What is the situation we are going to follow? Source following load. Previously, I said that source is following the load, but now what is the situation? Load has to follow the source. Now you may understand. Why do you need a communication? I'm telling you. So maybe previously, no need of communication. Why? Because all the sources are rigid in nature and moreover more stable in nature. If you see a thermal generator, if it is producing 5,000, maybe assume that 100 megawatt power. If it is producing 100 megawatt power, assume that input is varying or output is varying. This 100 megawatt may goes to 110 or 90 megawatt. It will never become zero or maybe 10% of the capacity. But solar photovoltaic is not like that. Assume that 12 o'clock, your solar photovoltaic is generating same 100 megawatt. Assume that a cloud is passing on the solar panel. Next moment, this 100 megawatt can become 10 megawatt. Can you imagine? So, the gap between generation from instant to instant widen up. Then what will happen? That become a severe vulnerable situation a grid is concerned. A grid cannot bear it. So now what you got to do? Immediately you got to cut down all the loads. Immediately you have to cut down all the loads. Otherwise what will happen? The entire system will collapse. Entire system will collapse. Now you may understand what is the necessity of a communication between source and load. I said one story previously. If some guests are coming to your home, you are not going to call nearby substation, sir, I am currently using 1 kilowatt. Some guests are coming, provide me 1 more kilowatt. You are not going to demand. But now you have to demand. That gap only fulfilled by smart grids. Someone told me previously that communication. There is an electrical network. You are in the position to integrate all sort of renewable energy sources. So when you bring renewable energy sources, they are highly varying in nature. Output power varies according to the situation. So you are in the position to provide communication between source and load. That is called a smart grid. Right? So when you talk about smart grid technology, what are the things are there? You have electrical network, right? Can you please tell me? Suppose if you know what are the things in your home, and assume that you have 11 kilovolt supply. I have 230 volt load. So what are the equipments coming in between 230 volt load and 11 kilovolt supply? Can you please interact with me? I have 11 kilovolt supply, and we have only 230 volt.
Transformer.
Which are the things?
Transformer.
Yeah, transformer is step up or step down?
Step down.
Step down. Okay, then. Yeah, transformer then. That's it. So followed by a transformer, there are protection equipments. I particularly asked a question, what type of transformer? Step down transformer. I'm telling you, when you all don't have solar photovoltaic in your home, it may be called as a step down transformer. Assume that there is a transformer of 100 kVA. Usually the street transformer, whatever you see, maybe 100 kVA, sometimes 200 kVA. Minimum power I'm speaking, 100 to 200 kVA transformer we use in our home, in our street, that is called a distribution transformer. So that distribution transformer, sometime we may have protection, maybe something called differential protection. I think all of you might have heard about a differential protection. So that is depend upon the direction, that is deciding the direction, right? They sense incoming current, they set the outgoing current. In between, if there is a mismatch, then they will shut down the transformer. That is a distance protection, a differential protection. So when you talk about these transformer meant to act as step down transformer, when there is no source with the consumer, assume that most of the consumer using solar photovoltaic. Now what happens? That transformer is going to reverse the power. Why? Because power availability in the secondary side is greater than primary side. Now you may get, instead of acting 11 bar 400 volt step down, it is going to act as 400 to 11 step up. Shall we do it immediately? No. There only we need a smart transformer. Someone pointed out, sir, smart equipments. Not only equipment, not only consumer items like maybe large refrigerators or washing machine, all these things are smart today, right? But your equipment alone not only smart, you are in the position to make all the electrical network also smart. Like I am really challenging another problem, nature of circuit. If you see a transmission network, most of the time we assume it is inductance network, or sometimes long transmission line capacitor network, where the capacitance parameter dominates inductive parameter. But when you see distribution line, that distribution line is resistive in nature, right? Where X by R ratio is greater than 1. Whereas the long transmission line, X by R ratio is lesser than 1. Distribution system, X by R ratio is greater than 1. What it means? The inductance means that the distribution network is more resistive in nature than the inductor. Then what is a drawback? Voltage regulation. If you see the conventional system, there is no device available in the distribution system to regulate the output voltage, right? But now, if you bring solar photovoltaic, you have to regulate the output voltage in the distribution system itself. Otherwise, what will happen? Your neighbor load also will be damaged. Now you may understand severity of this smart grid, right? So your equipment like a distribution transformer should be smart enough. Reversing direction of power. Currently, the transformer what we have only can step up or step down the voltage. But there are modern transformers called as solid state transformers. Those transformers are made up of power electronics where you can control real power as well as reactive power of the transformer. You may be thinking, sir, whether Kumaravel is joking. I am not joking. I am telling the truth. Transformer can control real power and the reactive power. Now I am telling you that is the technology development. See, conventionally we have studied transformer maybe in S3 or maybe in S4. If you see the equivalent circuit of a transformer, it has primary winding, secondary winding. It can only step up and step down the voltage. You can't touch the frequency and power factor, right? But now there is a smart transformer which can control real power and reactive power. Then you may understand, right? You can reverse the direction of power from primary to secondary or secondary to primary instantly. I am speaking instantly. In NIT Calicut, we have made a laboratory experimental setup of a smart transformer of 1 kilowatt. Of course, we have recently published a paper in IEEE Journal of Emerging and Selected Topics in Power Electronics. You can look into that paper. We very clearly talk about the advantages of smart transformer where you can step down and step up, right? And naturally, there is a drawback. What is a drawback? Reliability. If you see a transformer, even today, there are transformers operating in the street even more than 40 years, 50 years, even quite larger time than that. Conventional transformers provide long durability. But wherever there is a power electronics, the reliability of the power electronic converters comes down because power electronics are very sensitive to temperature. If you are not maintaining temperature properly, naturally the failure may occur. Hence, the reliability of the transformer comes down significantly. So what you have to say, at the same, wherever there is an advantage, there is a demerit also. But what is the main advantage? Exclusively, whenever you have a renewable energy sources like solar photovoltaic, unconventional, non-conventional sources like battery, maybe near future, fuel cell can come, electric vehicle can come. When you see distribution system, will face a new situation where your smart transformer, include transformer also should be smart enough. So even now I have covered only one wing of smart grid. So communication should be there in home, communication should be there in transformer, sometimes communication should be there in substation. So everybody is provided with the communication, means that equipments are speaking one to other. Transformer speaks to your load. 11 kilovolt transformer speaks to 110 kilovolt transformer. 110 kilovolt transformer speaks to 100 megawatt generator. I'm telling you what are the advantages of providing all the communication under the umbrella called smart grid. So when you provide that, the main thing is profit. So when you see transmission and distribution losses of any developed nation, it is always lesser than 8%. But if you don't believe me, today you go to our MNRE website and download the present D&D loss, it is always greater than 15%. Sometimes it goes to 30%. What is the problem? That is poor network. Here, I would like to show only one diagram. This is all I'm skipping. Yeah, this you can see. Yeah. So these are the technologies we have looked into for the past more than 50-60 years, like TV, radio, computer, telephone, everything. Everything changed, right? So you can see TV become smart TV, iPad, laptop or tablet, and ultra modern car. Everything changed, right? Everything changed. What is the technology in grid? Grid also changed. That is called a smart grid, what currently we speak. But what is a reality? Reality is a question mark, right? What is our reality? This is the reality, right? Sometimes I think how the technician is managing this distribution network. Am I correct? I'm telling you, maybe sometime before, I'm telling you 30 years before, 40 years before, our electrical distribution system were much better than today. I think all of you may agree with me. Number of houses significantly increased. Accordingly, India never invested much on the infrastructure development of distribution system. Now, all the students answer me whether electrical branch will provide employability or not. Yeah, 100% we will get placement. Why? Who will change this infrastructure? You have to change. I have to change. Try to understand. Don't get demotivated that, sir, if you study electrical engineering, you will never get a job. Nothing like that. Just to wait for some more time, electrical vehicle, we are waiting. That technology breakthrough, I will tell you. Say the one Kodak, I think all of you may remember Kodak. Kodak was the company who manufactured film for camera. So 20 years back, if you see all the camera, we need film. Even I think those days, one film itself, maybe 200 rupees or maybe 300 rupees. That camera was around some 1,000 rupees or 2,000 rupees. In those days, I'm telling. Someone told to Kodak company that, sir, future, they are going to bring digital camera where you no need any film. That company fellow never believed it. Why? Without the film, how can you take photo? If you want to take photo, you need a film. That was his attitude. But within short span of time of 5 years, they invented a digital camera and they sold in the market. So after that, nobody go behind that film-based camera. Now it is not there. You can see only in museum. After some time, someone told that, sir, they are going to bring camera in the mobile phone. By the time that camera wala never believed, sir, how can you bring camera in mobile phone? Because we are also using same electronics, and if you bring electronics for camera, that is bigger in size. But how do you bring the same size of electronic circuit in the mobile phone? That fellow never believed. But after some time, they bring camera inside the mobile phone. But today, if you see 48 megapixel, 100 and some megapixel camera, they are putting in the mobile phone itself. One camera, two camera. Yeah, I think nowadays, if you see some mobile phone, everywhere there are cameras, right? You can't identify from where you are taking photo, which camera is taking photo. Like that, technology become very cheap. That is one example I am telling you. Similarly, we are waiting for another breakthrough in technology that is called electric vehicle. Say, what is the main advantage of electric vehicle? Electric vehicle is having multiple purpose. Then you may ask, sir, what is a multiple purpose? Assume that you have presently a car. What you can do with the car, a petrol car or a diesel car, we are parking in our home. If you would like to go to office, 9 o'clock we may take the car, going to the college or maybe nearby working place in another half an hour or maximum 1 hour. After going there, what are you going to do? You are going to park the car in the office. Then when you will take back, evening 5 o'clock, and another half an hour or 1 hour, you are coming back to the home, right? What is the utilization of the car in a day? Out of 24 hours, you are going to be in car hardly 1 hour. For 1 hour being in car, why you are spending on 10 lakh or 5 lakh rupees? You may understand, right? If you see the utilization factor of the car is very, very poor. Some survey said that if you are spending 600 rupees in a day, you can have a car. Otherwise, you have a rental car. Every day, if you spend 600 rupees for a car, means transport, you can have your own car. Otherwise, better don't have car. Otherwise, it will become loss. That's what recent survey said. But electric car is not like that. That's what I am going to tell you. Why I am telling you, if you see the technical specification of electric car, maybe 10 kilowatt motor they are going to use. If 10 kilowatt motor running for 1 hour, 10 kilowatt hour power. I'm telling on another some example only I'm telling. So 10 kilowatt hour battery is a bulk electrical resource. In your home, all of you use UPS. Do you know what is the capacity of that UPS? Participant, can you please tell me what is the capacity of that battery which is used in UPS? Anybody knows? Anybody know what is the capacity of the UPS? There are 90 engineers are here, electrical engineers, and I think all of you may use UPS in your home. Please tell me what is the capacity of the battery? Anyone, please? I think someone run away to see the battery in your home.
100 Ah battery.
Very good. Thank you, sir. 100 Ah. Yeah. So it varies from consumer. Yeah, thank you. I think some of them are responding. Thank you very much. It varies from person to person. Some people may use 100 Ah battery. Somebody may use 200 Ah battery. It depends. On an average, 100 Ah battery cost around 8,000 rupees to 10,000 rupees. If you go for 200 Ah battery, it varies maybe from 14,000 rupees, 15,000 rupees. I'm telling you, you are using 100 Ah or 200 Ah battery in your home, where that UPS illuminate your entire home for one whole day, right? Whole night you get power of 2 lamp or 1 or 2 fans. I'm telling you, in car, 10 kilowatt motor, they are going to power using 10 kilowatt hour battery. I'm telling only typical example. It is much higher than that. If you see Tesla car, what they are telling, 50 kilowatt hour. 50 kilowatt hour. If you see the cost of electrical vehicle, more than 40% of the cost is spent for battery itself. I'm telling you, electric vehicle is going to play multiple role. If you keep in your home like conventional car, you are not going to keep it in your parking area. If it is there in your home, use that bulk battery, connect to your grid. Whenever you are going to office, there is an electrical network, there you connect. What I am telling you, 24 hours, 1 hour you may use the car, remaining 23 hours, put electrical car in grid connected mode. I'm telling you, it can produce additional revenue to you. At present, diesel or petrol based cars are liability. I'm telling you, in near future, electrical car is going to become an asset. That is the main difference between the conventional vehicle and the present electric vehicle. Hardly you can see 1 or 2 vehicles today on the road, but just you wait for another 2 to 3 years, maybe in another 5 years, more than 50% of the vehicle will be changed by electric vehicle. At the time, what will happen to the electrical network? Now you can think. Wherever there is a need, there is an invention, right? Our necessity is the mother of invention. At present, we don't have any electrical car. That is the reason why our electrical network is poor. Just to wait for another 5 years. Huge technology advancement is going to happen in our electrical network in terms of smart grid or maybe microgrid or DC grid, whatever the name we call. All of us should ready to accept that change. So please upgrade your knowledge. I'm telling you, electrical network has to be developed very drastically to handle smart equipments in the near future. And whatever I'm showing in the photograph is the present reality. Now you see the reality is very bad. Now who has to convert this into smart grid? Electrical engineer. Who is the electrical engineer? You are the electrical engineer. I am electrical engineer. We have to do it. So students, don't worry that, sir, I studied electrical engineering, there is no job. Your turn is yet to come. Your turn is yet to come. But what you should do now? You should be patient enough and learn new technology. Spend your time useful manner. That's it. So that is the main thing what I want to convey to all of you. Another milestone under smart grid is solar photovoltaic. In another 10 minutes, I will talk about solar photovoltaic. Though there are different technology coming up day by day, I have listed few technologies here like solar photovoltaic, wind, microturbine, biotechnology means biomass, fuel cell, chemical storage like a battery. There are different types of battery coming up. 10 years before, if you see a battery, lead acid battery. But now, attraction towards lead acid battery comes down. Everybody goes behind the lithium ion battery. Lithium ion battery is little bit costly, but the advantage is lithium ion battery can be reusable. For example, if you have 10 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery in car for 2 years, don't worry. Take that battery, put it in your home as UPS battery. Sir, that is also over. Another 3 years I spent it. Don't worry. After that, you put it into some other application. So though the performance slightly degraded, like lead acid battery, you are not supposed to throw it off, right? Sometimes lead acid battery they used to do recycle, but lifetime of lithium ion battery is very high than lead acid battery. So if you buy a car of 10 lakh rupees, battery itself costs around 4 lakh or maybe 3 lakh rupees. After 5 years, when you swap the battery, at least you can get 50% of the cost. It means 1.5 lakh, you can get it back. So now if you have a battery, used battery, if you give car battery, a 48 Ah battery, you can get hardly 1000 rupees, right? If you give to that the shop wala, he can give you only 1000 rupees. But I'm telling you, in near future, if you buy new battery, you need not spend 90% of the cost of the battery. You can spend only 50% cost, because that second-hand battery is having reusable value. So that is another advantage. So like that, there are different technology. I am listing here the drastically developing technology. One is solar photovoltaic, wind also. People are drastically doing work to improve the efficiency of low power wind turbines, means lesser than 1 kilowatt. Because when you see large wind turbine, on an average, the wind velocity requirement is greater than 6 meters per second. But places like Kerala, we have enough wind, but the problem is wind speed is low. Average speed of the wind is always lesser than 4 meters per second, where we can use wind turbine of lesser than 1 kilowatt capacity. So the cutting speed of low power wind turbine is lesser than 1.5 meters per second. Currently, the cutting speed of wind turbine is greater than 2.5 or 2.3. But near future, there are wind turbines where the cutting speed is lesser than 1.5 meters per second. So that you can use in your home like your solar photovoltaic. So solar photovoltaic, I said there are different generations we have seen. In nutshell, I will talk about that generation. There are 3 generations I am listing here on the PPT. So first generation, low efficiency, high cost. Low efficiency, high cost. Second generation, low efficiency, low cost. That is there at present today. That is called the amorphous silicon solar technology. That is currently we are using, right? So if you have 1 kilowatt, you can hardly buy it for 20,000 rupees. If you have a terrace, hardly in 2,000 square feet house, you can provide a solar photovoltaic of hardly 2 kilowatt to 3 kilowatt. That's it. But future technology, which is yet to come, that is called a nanotechnology based solar photovoltaic cell, slightly higher in cost, but very high in efficiency. If you see the current solar photovoltaic, low cost, low efficiency, where the efficiency is less than 10% sometimes. But nanotechnology based solar photovoltaic, 2 to 3 times efficiency. What I'm telling you, 2,000 square feet apartment, you can put minimum 5 kilowatt solar panel, right? Whatever the technology we have currently, for example, I'm telling you pen drive. Say 10 years before, if you buy a pen drive of 2,000 rupees, hardly you can get 100 MB or 500 MB. Later it become 1 GB, 2 GB. Now it is 16 GB. Amazon is selling pen drive for 200 rupees, 300 rupees like a keychain. Right? Even 1 terabyte hard disk costs less than 4,000 rupees. You can think about the technology development in capacity, right? Size also comes down, cost also comes down. Similarly, in solar photovoltaic, in near future, cost may comes down as time goes, but one thing they ensured, efficiency will be more than the present technology 2 times or 3 times. Even the graph shows maximum efficiency of closely 75%. Can you imagine? Right? If you get it, it is possible. Why I'm telling you, LED is a best example. See, incandescent lamp provide illumination of 60 watt. Same illumination can be provided by hardly 8 watt LED lamp. You see the technology advancement. 60 watt means what? Huge losses. that much losses they brought down drastically to 8 watt. You see the efficiency. The other one less than 20% efficiency. This guy is more than 85% efficiency. Now you can imagine technology development in LED lamp. Similar semiconductor technology advancement will happen in solar photovoltaic in improving the efficiency. So that days are not far. It will come soon. At the time, we will use all sort of solar for electrical loads will be powered by our solar photovoltaic, which will be located in the top of our building. So with these few sentences, I am coming to the end of today's lecture. I don't know how far I have covered up. So the given time is 1 hour. I think I am coming to the close of 1 hour time. So thank you very much to all the participants for your patient listening. As I mentioned in the beginning, I am not using PPT. As I said, I didn't use any PPT, maximum PPT today. I have shown 1 or 2 slides, but maximum I interacted with the participants and I conveyed my idea. I do not know how far it is useful to you. Now it is a time for interaction. Please, participants, you please share your comments or views. Thank you.
Those who have questions can ask now. If no one has any questions, let's end this.
I think when you ask participants, they can hear, because that's what I'm telling you. A lot of online lectures are going on today. They are getting some confusions of which online lecture I am attending now. I think nowadays people know they are having multiple. One side they will on this Google Meet, another side they will on Zoom, maybe another Microsoft. Parallelly, they are attending all the sessions. I do not know here how many participants are attending like that. So if you have any queries, please interact with me.
Sir,
I think
Edwina
is coming up. Yeah.
Sir, you said that in NIT Calicut recently you had invented a solid state transformer. So may I know the rating and specification of that particular transformer?
Yeah, currently what transformer we have used is 1 kilowatt capacity, and the output voltage of the front end inverter is as like our grid voltage of 440 volt, and the input side we have interfaced 230 volt single phase or 400 volt AC. Solid state transformer receives varying nature of input, and output side it is providing 440 volt that input output to the grid or maybe a local load. That is a specification of the transformer what we have used in our lab. Power rating is 1 kilowatt.
That is, we can vary the input up to 230 and we'll get a constant output voltage of 440.
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
No, I already informed you that the transformer what we have today means that smart transformer input can vary, but we can fix output to output constant by regulating the DC link voltage. We have developed a controller. That controller stabilizes DC link voltage. Whatever may be the variation in input can vary in its own way, like a wind generator or photovoltaic, it can vary. But this solid state transformer stabilizes the DC link voltage. Hence, the AC side output voltage is maintained at 440 volt or 400 volt, whatever the grid voltage, it can maintain at that voltage. Yeah.
So, is there any power quality issue while we are using solid state transformers?
Yeah, whenever you use power electronics, not only in transformer, everywhere, power electronics is the problem, but power electronics itself is a solution. Solid state transformer can act as an active filter, but we have not done any work currently, but there are literature, they are talking about multiple role of transformer. A transformer can act as an active filter. So as you said, if there is a problem, that transformer itself can solve the problem because there is a provision.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, can you tell about the latest technologies used in the batteries?
So when you talk about the battery, two aspects, the technology is growing up. One is the material based, as I said, lithium ion, cadmium ion, like that. There are new technology developed in battery in terms of material. Second aspect, power converter for improving speed of charging of battery. That is called fast chargers. If you take on an average 40 Ah battery, if you charge current at the rate of 40, it takes 1 hour. So if you use that battery in car, that type of battery in car, charging time is more. If you take your car and going to Trivandrum, hardly you can run the car only for 2 to 3 hours. What it means, from Calicut, if you start today morning 9 o'clock, you will reach Trivandrum only 2 days after. Because you can't travel more than 2 hours, 3 hours. Everywhere you have to stop, you have to charge it, you have to stop, you have to charge it, like that you have to go. So the other research drastically developing in improving charging speed. So if you have a 10 kilowatt hour battery, you have to charge the battery in half an hour time, right? So like that, the other technology is developed in improving the charging time of battery, means fast chargers, power electronics. There also people are doing research. Third one, as someone pointed out, power quality. Wherever you use battery will be charged from grid of AC. So wherever you have battery, there is a rectifier. And when you have rectifier, that is called the nonlinear load, introduces lot of harmonics. And you have to find solution. In that aspect also, there are a lot of technologies developing. Yeah, thank you.
Hello, sir.
Yeah.
Sir, I'm a final year student and I'm doing project in vehicle to grid integration, energy transfer.
Yeah.
We have an idea that we have an electric vehicle and we can use it for powering our house and also to give power to the grid.
Yeah.
So is such a system practically feasible if we plan it to propose that? Is such a system practically feasible for a vehicle to power the grid?
Yeah, there are a lot of research article being published in the title that is called V2H, V2G. Of course, we have published a paper recently in Wiley Publications. You can see my website. The power management of that V2G, V2H operation of a microgrid. That's the work we have applied particle sum optimization to optimize the strategy. So this technology, I don't know whether it is right now in practice, but we have to equip our infrastructure of the grid. As I already mentioned, that infrastructure has to be developed. But literally speaking, there are a lot of technology has been published in papers related to V2H and V2G. You can refer those reference papers. You can get wide knowledge about technical challenges of V2G and V2H operations. Thank you.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir. Hello, sir.
Yeah, please.
Hello?
Go ahead.
Hello.
Yes, sir, I'm hearing. Please go ahead. Yeah, please.
Sir, in future, AC grid totally replaced by DC grid, it is possible, sir?
Yeah, there are many literature talks about that. What they are claiming in future, if electrical network used in the home is converted into completely DC microgrid, efficiency can be improved to 20%. 20% efficiency can be enhanced. That's what recently I read in a literature paper from IEEE Power Electronics. If DC microgrid used in our home 20% efficiency improvement is ultimately equal to reduction of that much losses. So you can save your money. You can electricity bill can be reduced. That's what they are claiming in the literature. But I don't know. Everything is in the pilot scale only. I think even now in India we follow conventional 3-phase or single-phase AC grid. But maybe in near future DC grid can be brought into the domestic system. But the problem is investment cost. There are a lot of work is going on in that.
Okay, thank you, sir.
I think a little bit strengthened to that. Currently, all the loads also sold in the market for 230 volt supply. For example, you can take fan, TV, light, everything following the standard of 230 volt. If there is a load of 48 volt DC, I think now the availability is less. Maybe in near future, when it's standardized, all the loads will be available at 48 volt. Why I'm telling you, 48 volt DC is very safer. And if you see country like India, the accident due to electricity is very, very high. If 48 volt is followed in electric home, I think we can reduce the accident rate in home because 48 volt is safe handling voltage. You will never get shock. That's another advantage you can get maybe in near future. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, sir. I think now we can wind up the section. Before that, if further doubts or anything related with this topic, you can directly contact Kumaravel sir. His ID or all the details will be available on NIT Calicut website. Okay, mail ID is already given here. Now, I would like to invite Amrita, the student coordinator of this program, for giving vote of thanks.
Yes, I'm Amrita Ashok, here for giving vote of thanks. Firstly, I would like to thank Dr. Kumaravel sir for accepting our request and providing us a 30 session on smart grid technology and its opportunities. Next, I would like to thank Jyoti Engineering College and its management for providing us opportunity for conducting this webinar. Also, our principal Jason Paul for being our backbone and guiding us. Next, I would like to thank EEE Department, HOD, and our Shijo sir for providing maximum support and help. Also, Kabil sir, staff coordinator for initiating this webinar under ISTE Students Chapter, and all students who work behind this webinar. Finally, I would like to thank all the participants for making this session a great success. Thank you all.
Okay. Before winding up, I would like to add one more point. Now, the total number of participants